Subject: I went through my wife's phone. She was cheating. Hello, true story. My name is Chris. I just want other men out there to see the signs and not waste the time I wasted. Either way, let's go, because this isn't a short one. 2013. In 2013. At the time, I was 27, working a decent job in IT support and spending most of my weekends either with friends or at the gym. I wasn't really looking for a serious relationship, but you know how life works. The moment you're not looking is when you stumble into someone. We actually met through mutual friends. Nothing glamorous, just, hey Chris, I want you to meet my friend. She was there with a friend from her workplace, and we got paired up during some ridiculous lawn game that I don't even remember the rules of anymore. What I do remember is her laugh. It was loud, kind of contagious, and she had that spark that made her stand out in a crowd. We exchanged numbers before the night ended, and within a week we were texting nonstop. Things escalated quickly from there. Dinners, movies, weekend trips. Within 6 months, we were officially a couple. Our early years of dating. The first few years were that honeymoon stage. We traveled a lot because neither of us had kids yet, and both of us had jobs with some flexibility. I remember we took a road trip from Ohio to Nashville just because she wanted to see some random band she loved. We didn't have the money to be extravagant, but we made it work. Cheap hotels, fast food on the road, but we were happy. Of course it wasn't perfect. She had a temper. I won't lie. Sometimes she'd blow up over the smallest things, like if I didn't answer her text fast enough, or if I hung out with my friends too much. But I brushed it off because, overall, I thought she was worth it. We dated for 5 years before getting married in 2018. I'll admit, I dragged my feet on proposing because I saw how rocky things could get when she was upset. But after 5 years, I figured if we'd lasted that long, we could handle marriage. That's the kind of naive logic that comes back to bite you. Married life. Our wedding was small, nothing flashy. We couldn't afford some $50,000 production, and honestly, I didn't want that. It was just close friends and family, about 60 people, and we had the reception at a local event hall. At the time, I thought it was one of the happiest days of my life. For the first couple of years, things were good. We bought a house in 2019, right before the housing market really started to skyrocket. It was a modest single-family home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. We figured it'd be the perfect starter home for us, and maybe a kid or 2 down the line. We tried for kids. I won't sugarcoat this part. It was brutal. She got pregnant 4 different times, and each time ended in a miscarriage. The first one gutted us both. We cried together, leaned on each other. By the 4th, it was more numbness than anything. After that, she said she didn't want to try anymore. I agreed, even though deep down, part of me still wanted to be a dad. But when you see the woman you love go through that much pain, both physical and emotional, you don't push. The pandemic struggles. When 2020 hit and the pandemic shut everything down, our marriage really got tested. We were stuck in the house together 24/7. At first, it was kind of fun. We cooked new recipes, binged shows, did puzzles like every other couple trying to pass the time. But then the tension started. She lost her job temporarily because her company downsized, and I was working from home in the spare bedroom. She'd get annoyed that I was too busy for her during the day. She'd complain that I didn't give her enough attention. I tried to reassure her, but I also had to keep my job. Money got tight for a while, even though unemployment helped, but the bigger issue was emotional. She seemed restless, unhappy. She started spending more time on her phone, scrolling Facebook, reconnecting with old classmates. At the time, I didn't think much of it. Everyone was online more during lockdown, selling the house. In 2021, when the market was booming, we made the decision to sell our house. Honestly, it was one of the smartest financial moves we ever made together. We sold it for way more than we bought it for and walked away with a huge profit. We split the money fairly. Part of it went into our separate Roth IRAs, and we decided to rent a single-family home instead of buying again right away. Looking back, it's ironic. We thought renting would give us flexibility for our future. What it actually did was make the eventual split cleaner, no property to fight over. Now here's where everything unraveled. This past summer, she went outside to sunbathe in the backyard. She left her phone on the couch. Normally, I wasn't the type to snoop. For years, I prided myself on not needing to check her phone. But something in me just felt off. Call it intuition, gut feeling, whatever. You know when something just isn't right. I picked up her phone. She didn't even have it locked with a passcode, which made me think, okay, maybe I'm overthinking this. But when I opened Facebook Messenger, there it was, a whole thread with some guy I had never even heard of. It wasn't innocent. I scrolled back months. They'd been messaging constantly, and it wasn't just flirty. It was full-blown emotional and physical cheating. They talked about meeting up. They joked about inside stuff I had no clue about. And then, the kicker. Messages where they described what they did together. They had slept together at least once, probably more. I sat there in shock, reading every disgusting detail. My heart was pounding, my hands shaking. Years together, and she was throwing it away for some random guy off Facebook. I didn't scream. I didn't smash her phone. I didn't make a scene. Instead, I went to the kitchen, filled a cup with cold water, walked outside and dumped it on her while she was lying out in the sun. She jumped up, gasping, asking what the hell my problem was. I looked her in the eyes and said, "We're done. I saw everything. We're getting a divorce." Instantly, the waterworks started. She tried the whole, "I can explain, it's not what it looks like" routine. But I had already seen the messages. There was no talking her way out of it. She begged, pleaded, said she was sorry, said it was a mistake. But the thing is, you don't accidentally carry on a months-long affair. You don't oops your way into someone's bed. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was sorry she got caught. That same day, I started packing my things. I couldn't stay under the same roof with her anymore. She tried to follow me around, crying, asking me to at least listen. But I had heard enough. It wasn't an easy decision. 10 years of my life invested in her. 5 years of dating. 5 years of marriage. All those memories, the good and the bad, the miscarriages, the house, the trips, everything flushed away because she couldn't stay loyal. I left. We filed for divorce shortly after. It's still fresh and I won't pretend like I'm totally okay, but I know this. I made the right choice. Staying with her after discovering that betrayal would have been the death of my self-respect. We had no kids, no house, no shared assets beyond what we'd already split. In a way, I got lucky compared to some guys who lose everything in divorce. She tried to apologize, tried to get me to work through it, but I couldn't. Once trust is gone, it's gone. I don't care how many tears she shed. After I left the house that day, I stayed with a buddy of mine. He and his wife have a finished basement, and they were kind enough to let me crash there for a while until I figured out my next move. That same night, my phone started blowing up. Calls, texts, Facebook messages, all from her. She was sending long paragraphs 1 minute and short, frantic messages the next. "Please, I can explain everything. Just come home." "It didn't mean anything. I love you. We can go to counseling. We can fix this. Don't throw away everything we built over a mistake." Then the guilt tripping started. "I can't believe you're walking out after everything we've been through. I need you. Please don't abandon me." If you loved me, you'd forgive me. I ignored most of them. Every now and then I'd respond with something short, like, "We're done," or "Stop texting me." But she didn't stop. She couldn't accept it. The family involvement. Within a couple of days, her family started reaching out to me. Her mom called me first. She's always been kind to me, so when I saw her number, I actually answered. She said, "Chris, what's going on? She's a wreck. She said you just up and left, that you've been treating her horribly, and she doesn't understand why." That floored me. I told her mom straight up. "Did she also tell you she's been sleeping with another man for months?" Silence. Then a shocked, "No, she didn't tell me that." I could hear the doubt in her voice, though, like maybe she thought I was making it up. That's when I realized the smear campaign had started. My wife had already begun painting me as the bad guy to her family, leaving out the part where she was the one sneaking around. By the end of that week, her dad texted me too, basically telling me I should man up and work through it, because every marriage has rough patches. Rough patch? Cheating isn't a rough patch. Cheating is a death sentence. The counseling card. Not long after, she suggested marriage counseling. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not against counseling in general. I think it can help couples work through real problems. But counseling only works if both people are committed to the relationship and, most importantly, if there's honesty. She wasn't honest. She'd been living a double life for months. No counselor on this planet could undo that. So, I told her flat out, "I'm not interested. There's nothing to fix." Of course, she spun that too. She told her friends and family that I refused to fight for the marriage, like I was the one giving up too easily. She completely ignored the fact that she was the one who betrayed me in the first place. The false accusations. Now here's where things got ugly. She knew the divorce was happening no matter what, so she tried another tactic, painting me as abusive. I'll never forget the day one of her cousins sent me screenshots of what she was posting on Facebook. She had written this long, emotional post about how she was escaping a toxic, controlling marriage, and how she stayed silent about the emotional abuse for years. I nearly threw my phone across the room. Emotional abuse? Controlling. Anyone who knows me knows that's the furthest thing from the truth. If anything, I bent over backwards to keep her happy for years, even when she was being unreasonable. But that's the thing about social media. People believe the victim card faster than they'll ever believe the accused. She got comments like, "Stay strong, girl. You deserve better. Proud of you for speaking your truth." Meanwhile, I was sitting there fuming, knowing she was lying through her teeth just to make herself look like the victim, trying to reel me back in. At the same time she was bashing me online, she was still privately trying to get me back. Late night texts saying she couldn't sleep without me, pictures of her crying, messages like, "I don't want to lose you, Chris. Please don't throw away 10 years. That other guy didn't mean anything. I was lonely. I was stupid. She tried bargaining too. "We don't have to talk about it. We can just move forward like it never happened." Imagine that. She thought I could just erase the betrayal from my memory, like hitting delete on a computer file. That's not how real life works. Her family turning on me. Her family got more aggressive as the weeks went on. Her brother even called me, accusing me of being cold and heartless. I told him, "If your wife cheated on you, would you stay?" That shut him up pretty quick, but I could tell he still thought I was the bad guy. Her parents eventually stopped talking to me altogether. They bought into her version of events, where she was this poor, mistreated wife, and I was the cruel husband who abandoned her. That hurt, because for years I had treated her family like my own. Holidays, birthdays, cookouts. I was always there, helping, contributing, all gone in an instant because of her lies. The divorce process. When I filed for divorce, things got real. Thankfully, we didn't have kids or property to fight over, but she still tried to make things difficult. She wanted to drag it out, delay hearings, and complicate paperwork. At one point, she even told me, "I'm not signing anything until you agree to at least try counseling." I laughed in her face. "You don't negotiate with a cheater." Eventually, my lawyer got everything moving, and she had no choice but to cooperate. But during the process, she doubled down on the abuse narrative. She tried to claim in paperwork that I had been verbally abusive and controlling of finances. Total lies. My lawyer shut it down quickly, but it still pissed me off that she even attempted it. The smear campaign. Outside of court, she continued her smear campaign. She told mutual friends all kinds of twisted half-truths. Some believed her, some didn't. I lost a few friends in the process, but honestly, if they could hear her lies and think I was capable of that, then they weren't real friends anyway. The funniest part was that while she was calling me abusive and toxic, she was still messaging me late at night, begging me to come back. Talk about a split personality, the other guy. As for the guy she cheated with, he faded into the background once everything blew up. From what I could tell, he ghosted her. I think once he realized he was about to get dragged into a divorce mess, he ran for the hills. She tried to downplay him to me, saying it was just a fling and meant nothing. But I had read their messages. It wasn't nothing. They had inside jokes, pet names, plans for the future. It was an emotional affair, not just a physical one. She can lie to herself all she wants, but I know the truth. Finding my peace. The divorce finalized quicker than I expected, just a few months. When I walked out of that courthouse, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my chest. I was exhausted, drained, and angry, but I was also free. I moved into a new place, a small apartment, nothing fancy. I focused on work, hit the gym harder, and reconnected with friends I hadn't seen much during the marriage. Slowly, I started to feel like myself again. The lessons I learned. Looking back, here's what I'd tell any guy listening to your channel. Trust your gut. If something feels off, it usually is. I ignored little signs for months because I didn't want to be the paranoid husband. That was a mistake. Don't tolerate betrayal. Once someone cheats, it's over. Period. There's no rebuilding trust. Don't let anyone guilt you into thinking otherwise. Be ready for the smear campaign. Cheaters rarely own up to what they did. They'll twist the story, lie, and make you the villain to protect themselves. Don't let it break you. Value yourself. Walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. Staying with someone who disrespects you is weakness. Closing this chapter, I know she's still out there spinning her story. Maybe one day her family will learn the truth, maybe not. Honestly, I don't care anymore. That's not my battle to fight. My only focus now is moving forward, building a better life without her, and never allowing myself to be treated like that again. I'll never forget the day the divorce was finalized. It was a Tuesday morning in November. The air was crisp, the kind of weather where you need a jacket, but the sun still peeks through enough to warm your face. I walked out of that courthouse feeling two things at once: relief and emptiness. Relief because the nightmare was officially over. Emptiness because 10 years of my life had just been reduced to a stack of legal papers and a judge's signature. But as I stood there on the courthouse steps, I realized something. I had a blank slate. No more fighting, no more lies, no more pretending everything was fine. I was free to build whatever kind of life I wanted. The first few weeks after the divorce were rough. I won't sugarcoat it. I'd go to work, come home, and sit in silence. No wife, no shared routines, no one asking what I wanted for dinner, just me in four walls. At first, the silence was painful. I'd catch myself instinctively wanting to text her about something funny I saw, then remember she wasn't part of my life anymore. It hit me hard, but after a while, that silence became peaceful. I didn't realize how much of my energy had gone into managing her moods, dealing with her complaints, or trying to make things better all the time. Now I could just be. No drama, no constant stress, just peace, focusing on health. One of the first things I did was hit the gym harder than I had in years. During the marriage, especially during the pandemic, I'd let myself slip. Too many nights of takeout and beer, not enough lifting or cardio. I set a goal for myself, lose 20 pounds, get my strength back, and rebuild the body I had in my early 30s. Within 3 months, I'd hit the goal. By 6 months, I had surpassed it. I wasn't just working out my body. I was working out my anger, my sadness, my frustration. Every rep, every mile on the treadmill, every drop of sweat was therapy. I cleaned up my diet too. Less junk, more whole foods. I started cooking for myself, experimenting with recipes. I realized I actually enjoyed it. Cooking used to feel like a chore because she always had some complaint. Too salty, too spicy, not enough of this or that. Now I cooked for me, and I liked what I made. Friendships rekindled. Another thing I did was reconnect with old friends. During the marriage, I'd slowly drifted away from some of them. Part of it was life. People get busy. But part of it was her. She always wanted me home, always complained when I went out. So eventually I stopped bothering. After the divorce, I reached out to some of the guys I hadn't hung out with in years. To my surprise, they welcomed me back with open arms. We started having poker nights again, going to sporting events, grabbing beers after work. It reminded me that I wasn't alone. I had people in my corner, even if I'd forgotten that for a while. Career growth. Work became another area where I found myself thriving. I've been in IT for a while, but after the divorce, I threw myself into it even more. With no one draining my energy at home, I had the bandwidth to study for certifications, take on extra projects, and really push myself. Within a year, I got a promotion, more pay, more responsibility, and the satisfaction of knowing I earned it through hard work, not because I had someone at home nagging me to make more money. That promotion allowed me to do things I'd put off for years. I started traveling. I took a solo trip to Colorado to hike the Rockies. I visited a friend in Florida and went deep sea fishing. I even booked a trip overseas, my first ever, just because I could. Dating again. I know a lot of guys will want to know about this part. Did I start dating again? The answer is yes, but cautiously. At first, I had zero interest in dating. I was too raw, too bitter, too focused on myself. But after about a year, I dipped my toe into the dating pool. I'll be honest, it was weird. Dating in your late 30s is a whole different ballgame than dating in your 20s. People come with baggage, with past, with scars. But I went in with low expectations, telling myself I didn't need to find the one. I just wanted to meet new people, have some fun, and see what was out there. I went on a handful of dates. Some were awkward, some were fun, some fizzled quickly. Then I met someone who surprised me. She's not my girlfriend yet, but we've been seeing each other steadily for a while now. She's kind, supportive, and most importantly, honest. I can't predict the future, but I can say this. She treats me with respect, and that's something I'll never compromise on again. Lessons I've learned. I've had a lot of time to reflect on everything. Here are the biggest lessons I've learned. Peace is priceless. A drama-free life is worth more than any relationship with someone who drains you. Self-respect comes first. Once you let someone disrespect you, you're done. Don't tolerate it. Healing takes time. You can't rush it. Some days I felt fine. Some days I felt broken. Both were part of the process. Your circle matters. Friends, family, support. They're everything. Don't isolate yourself. The best revenge is living well. I didn't need to get back at her. My success, my happiness, my peace, that's revenge enough. The inevitable, reach out. Of course, she couldn't let things go. About a year after the divorce, she texted me out of the blue. It was some long, emotional message about how she still thinks about me all the time and how she regrets everything. I read it once, shook my head and deleted it. No response. What was there to say? She made her bed. Now she has to lie in it. Final thoughts for the men listening. To the men who are hearing this and maybe going through something similar, Don't lose hope. I know how dark it feels when you first realize your marriage is over. I know how heavy that weight is. But I promise you, there's life on the other side. You don't have to settle for a partner who cheats, lies, or disrespects you. You don't have to waste your life catering to someone who doesn't value you. You can rebuild. You can find peace. You can come out stronger than you were before. I'm living proof. If you've ever gone through a messy divorce, you probably know what I mean when I say you imagine this moment long before it happens. You wonder, will she look better? Worse? Will she pretend not to see me? Will she act like nothing ever happened? Well, I didn't have to wonder anymore. I got my answer, and let me just say, it was surreal. Setting the scene. By the time this happened, it had been almost 3 years since the divorce was finalized. My life had completely changed. I was healthier, stronger, more confident, and more at peace than I'd been in years. I'd gotten another promotion at work. I was living in a nicer apartment, had taken a few more trips, and was in a steady relationship with the woman I mentioned in part 3. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good. Better than good, it was mine. That day, I wasn't expecting anything out of the ordinary. It was a Saturday afternoon, and I was running errands. I had just finished at the gym, still wearing my workout clothes, and decided to swing by the grocery store on the way home. I had my earbuds in, listening to a podcast, just minding my own business, and then it happened. The first glance, I was in the produce section grabbing some apples when I heard a voice I hadn't heard in years. I couldn't hear the words at first, just the tone, but it hit me like a freight train. I froze, looked up, and there she was, my ex-wife. She was standing a few feet away holding a basket, talking on the phone. Her hair was shorter than I remembered, with streaks of gray starting to show. She looked older. Not just older in the sense of time passing, but older in the sense of being worn down. For a moment, I just stood there, staring. It was like my brain couldn't process that she was real, that she was right there in front of me after all this time. And she saw me. Her eyes went wide, her jaw dropped slightly, and she stopped mid-sentence on her phone call. She lowered the phone, still staring at me. For a second, it was like the whole grocery store went quiet, like it was just the two of us frozen in time. Finally, she said, "Chris?" Her voice cracked a little, like she couldn't believe it was me. I pulled out my earbuds, nodded, and said, "Hey." Calm, cool, nothing more. Her face went through about 3 emotions in 2 seconds: shock, sadness, and then something I can only describe as longing. Small talk. She hung up her call immediately and walked over. "Wow, it's been a long time," she said. "Yeah," I replied, "it has." There was a pause, the kind of heavy silence where you both know 1,000 things could be said, but none of them will change the past. She asked how I was doing. I kept it short. "I'm good, work's good, life's good." I didn't go into details, but I could see her scanning me up and down. I was in the best shape of my life, my shoulders broader, my face leaner, my posture confident. She noticed. I could see it in her eyes. Then I asked, "How about you?" She hesitated. "I've been okay," she said, though the way she said it told me otherwise. The truth comes out. We talked for maybe 5 minutes. It wasn't deep, but it was enough for me to piece together what her life looked like now. She told me she was renting a small apartment on her own. She said she was between jobs, but looking for something steady. She mentioned her parents' health declining and how she'd been spending more time helping them. She didn't mention the guy she cheated with, not once. My gut tells me that didn't last long, probably ended around the time I left her. She did say, almost in passing, "I've made a lot of mistakes." She looked me dead in the eyes when she said it, like she wanted me to know she was referring to us. My feelings in that moment. Here's the thing. I didn't feel anger, not anymore. That anger had burned out years ago. What I felt was something closer to pity. She looked lost. She looked like someone who had thought the grass was greener, only to find out it was dead and patchy on the other side. Meanwhile, I was standing there, healthier, happier, and more fulfilled than I'd ever been. The contrast was undeniable. It was the closure I didn't know I needed. The parting words. Before we went our separate ways, she said, "I just want you to know I really did love you. I still do in some ways." I looked at her and said, "Maybe, but love without respect isn't love that lasts." She nodded, tears welling up, but she didn't argue. She knew I was right. Then I said, "Take care of yourself," and walked away. No hug, no number exchange, nothing. Just walked out of that store with my head high and my heart steady. Reflection after the encounter. Driving home, I thought about it a lot. Seeing her again stirred up old memories, but it didn't hurt like I thought it might. Instead, it confirmed everything I'd already known. Leaving her was the best decision I ever made. Had I stayed, I'd probably be in the same position she was. Bitter, drained, unhappy. Instead, I had built a life I was proud of. That run-in showed me something important. Healing is real. You don't just move on overnight, but with time, distance, and effort, you really can get to a place where the past doesn't control you anymore. Lessons for the guys listening. If there are men watching your channel who are scared to leave a cheating spouse because they're worried about what comes after, let me tell you this. One day you'll run into her. It might be at the grocery store, a gas station, or a wedding, and when you do, you'll see the truth. You're better off without her. Time exposes everything. In the moment, she might look like she's winning, but years down the line, the truth always surfaces. Cheaters rarely land on their feet long term. Closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. It comes from building a new life, a better life, and realizing you don't need them anymore. Success is silent revenge. You don't need to rub it in her face. Just being happy, healthy, and at peace is enough. Running into my ex-wife was one of the strangest experiences of my life, but it was also one of the most freeing. I didn't walk away angry, sad, or bitter. I walked away grateful. Grateful that I had the strength to leave when I did. Grateful that I rebuilt myself, and grateful that I never settled for less than I deserved. To any man listening, trust me when I say your future self will thank you for walking away from someone who doesn't respect you.